Hi guys, this is Zach from Watches on You, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Omega Seamaster 300 meter professional with this fantastic white dial. So we've previously reviewed the other models of the Omega Seamaster, but we have never been able to get our hands on the white dial as of now. So here this watch is, and actually before I go into the dial and the bezel and things, I'm going to just go over the case quick. So if you know about this watch, it's got a 42 millimeter steel case. It's got varying polish. The polishing and brushing is really the same as the previous model, as they've really tried to keep this model fairly consistent from iteration to iteration, which I really like because it's a very classic, well-proportioned design. It kind of has the classic fairly short lugs that these watches typically do, but that kind of brings the size of the watch down a bit to, I'd say this does wear more like a 40 millimeter than a 42. If I put this on versus a Submariner, I really don't notice a difference at all between how these watches wear. They're both really 40 millimeters in the terms as how they feel on your wrist. However, dimensionally it is 42. So the bracelet on this watch is also stainless steel, and you can see it's kind of the classic Seamaster steel bracelet with the small polished lines there, and then the inner links. However, on these new models, they're a bit thinner than and flatter than the older models, which tended to be a little bit more round and a bit thicker. So the clasp on this you're getting is a nice solid bar clasp, very high quality. You have a push there, which allows you to do a micro adjust, which I really like. It works comparably to the Rolex glide lock system, if you know that. Very well done system, easy to use, and it also does have the advantage of a diver's extension, which you can see right there. So now let's move on to this spectacular dial. So this, I'd say, it's definitely the most unique dial choice out of all the Seamasters, and it's also the only one that was new. They didn't have a white dial in the previous Seamaster 300 model. They added it with this one, and I personally really like it. I think it pops very nicely, but yet it still remains kind of a classy, it still remains an elegant watch. I don't think it really makes this watch too sporty in any way. I think it's definitely more sporty than the black or the blue, just because those are a bit more subdued colors, but I think this watch you could definitely pull off with a suit and things, especially in today's society when everyone's basically wearing a smartwatch. This watch I think would be just fine in that situation, and I really love the white. Just it pops so nicely, and I think that if you're looking at the Seamaster 300, definitely try and see the white dial in person. Even the video doesn't do it justice. It just looks so nice and so clean in real life, and the black hands contrast it very nicely. Now, I would say that if this watch maybe would be a little bit less of a only watch collection watch, just because of the more sporty nature of this, it's not going to be as elegant as some of the other models. However, I'd say if you have just like one other watch that's maybe a bit more subdued, this one I think is perfect for you. But again, even if it is going to be on the watch, see this one in person, because I think that you might find that you really do like this model. I also love the accent of red on the Seamaster, as well as the tip of the second hand. It just contrasts so nicely from the rest of the black and white dial. You have your date down at 6 o'clock, just like the other models, which I really like, and I'm glad they obviously match the background there to the dial color, just making it so it blends in very nicely. I personally prefer a 6 o'clock date over a 3 o'clock, just because it keeps the dial a bit symmetrical, so I like that Omega did that with this new model. Now, the bezel is a ceramic bezel insert. This one has a black ceramic insert, which I think is great, contrasts the dial very nicely. And the action is great. It's 120 clicks. The lockup is perfect. It's smooth, but it has just the right amount of click there to let you know that it's secure, which I really like. And I think it's a very well done bezel. And then last thing I would like to mention is the manual helium release valve. So if you're into saturation diving, this is definitely going to be a feature that you would like. Now, how many of us really do saturation diving? Not very many, but also it's kind of cool just to know that this watch is capable of it. Now let's do a wrist shot. So on the wrist, this watch, as I said before, so it's got a 42 millimeter size, but I have about a 7.25-inch wrist, so take that for reference. And I would say that this wears more like a 40, just because those shorter lugs. Yes, the face might be a bit larger. However, the shorter lugs and everything just make it feel smaller. And I think that this is going to be great for almost everyone. 42 millimeters for a sports watch is really great. Again, 40 millimeters is my favorite size, but this wears a bit smaller, and I actually have a older model of this, and it just wears fantastic, at least on my wrist. So take that again for reference, about a 7¼ inch wrist, but I think this will be able to fit most people, especially due to the thickness. I just love how thin Omega Seamasters are. Now the Planet Ocean is obviously going to be thicker, but that's what I just love this size because it's still a 300-meter dive watch, so extremely dive capable, professional diver. Yet it's still going to be able to wear very small, and if we're wearing a cuffed shirt, it's just going to be able to glide right under that shirt cuff, which I think is fantastic. So now I'm going to go over the movement. So the movement is the Omega Master Coaxial movement, which means you're getting a 15,000 Gauss magnetic resistance, which is fantastic if you're not familiar with the Gauss rating system, which means you're really going to never have to worry about magnetizing this watch unless you put it in some extreme circumstance, like you put it inside an MRI or something. Other than that, you're really not going to have to worry about magnetizing this timepiece whatsoever. So this watch comes in at the same price as the other models. It comes in at $5,200, and I think that this does offer a lot of value for the money. The movement is arguably technologically more advanced than the Rolex Submariner movement. This is a 72-hour power reserve, by the way, same as the new Submariner, I believe. And it's got the finishing quality is fantastic. I love the dial, and I love its classic design too. I mean, you'll see the Omega Seamaster is an icon. Maybe not quite as much as like a Submariner, but it is still an icon again, and it has such a great history. And I think that there really aren't any other watches at $5,200 that you can get for a better quality than this timepiece and daily wearability as well. I mean, the Omega Speedmaster's around this price point too, the Moonwatch, which is another fantastic piece, but this watch, with regards to daily wearability, is a bit better than that. I would put it as at a bit better than that. So let me know what you guys think of this video. I'd like to mention this watch was lent to us by JB Hudson Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota for the purpose of this review. I'll be leaving a link in the description to their website if you'd like to check out this or any of the other watches in their collection. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.